The sky loomed as a void, starless and ink-black, while weak streetlights flickered over cracked pavement. Ira stood alone, his breath curling into faint mist, as he faced the oppressive weight of his surroundings. Before him rose Bree's lair, a decayed, towering apartment building with shattered windows and grime-streaked walls. The air reeked of dampness and rot, but what chilled Ira most was the malevolence simmering within the structure. This was where Bree had taken Vanessa, where Cyrus's twisted remnants lingered in her body. Following a trail of dark energy, Ira had arrived, dread tightening his chest. Yet he pressed on, determined to rescue Vanessa from the ancient hatred using her as its vessel. Silence blanketed the scene, no wind, no city noise, only the suffocating stillness of a world holding its breath. Then, figures emerged from the shadows, humanoid wraiths, gaunt and hollow-eyed, reflecting something far more sinister than human thought. At first, there were a few, then dozens, then hundreds, forming an oppressive sea of twisted, slack-faced entities. Their bloodshot eyes bore into Ira as whispers rose, low, malevolent murmurs echoing through the cracks. He comes, the light must be extinguished. But Ira stood firm, Marduk's light within him unwavering against the encroaching darkness. The void of the night hung heavy as Ira stood amidst a flickering, crumbling street, surrounded by suffocating darkness. The oppressive silence was broken by voices that clawed at his mind, whispering, they belong to the darkness, just as you will. Yet, Ira held firm, scanning the twisted crowd gathering around him. Their hollow, bloodshot eyes glowed faintly as they moved in slow waves, parting to form a path. Bree emerged from the vortex of shadows, gliding with a commanding, malevolent grace. His angular face was framed by flickering darkness, and his eyes, voids that devoured light, locked onto Ira with chilling delight. You've come, Bree said softly, his words ancient and twisted. Ira's voice held steady as he retorted, you knew I wouldn't let you keep her. Bree's smile widened as he gestured to the motionless crowd. You didn't come to save her. You came to join them. His prison swelled, the darkness pulsing like a living entity. Then, Vanessa appeared, emerging from the shadows under Cyrus's control. Her blank, emotionless eyes reflected nothing of the woman Ira knew. Desperate, Ira whispered, Vanessa, but received no response. The malevolence of the moment pressed down on him, but Ira's resolve hardened against the consuming dark. The tension was unbearable as Ira stood amidst the suffocating darkness, the crowd's bloodshot eyes glowing faintly as they pressed closer. Their bodies formed a tightening circle, the air heavy with malevolence. Bree, standing at the center of it all, watched with a smile of dark satisfaction. If you want her, he had said softly, his voice steeped in malice, you'll have to come and take her. Ira's body coiled, prepared for the inevitable clash. Despite the oppressive darkness, the light of Marduk burned steadily within him, a beacon against the encroaching night. As Bree's smile faded and the tension peaked, he asked with cold finality, shall we begin? When the crowd surged forward like a storm, their jerky, unnatural movements revealed their twisted nature. Ira met the onslaught with the brilliance of Marduk's light, his glowing fists cutting through the dark mass. Each strike was precise, divine energy erupting with every blow, casting his attackers aside like leaves in a tempest. Though the light within him grew stronger, so did the endless tide of foes. Battling exhaustion and pain, Ira's determination never wavered. I can do this, he thought, even as more bodies rushed to consume him. He was fighting not just for survival, but to bring her back. Ira fought relentlessly, surrounded by an unending tide of possessed bodies. A sharp pain tore through his side as one attacker's claws raked across his flesh. Staggering slightly, he grunted in pain, but the light of Marduk swiftly healed the wound, leaving only a lingering ache as a reminder of the enemies closing in. Then, the next wave descended. Dozens surged toward him, clawing and biting with feral intensity. Their weight pressed him down, suffocating and overwhelming. For a moment, dread threatened to consume him as the darkness loomed closer. But Ira unleashed a brilliant pulse of golden light, driving the attackers away in a radiant explosion. The street glowed momentarily, and the shadows recoiled. Yet, the respite was brief. The crowd hesitated but swelled again, their corrupted forms more twisted and grotesque. Bree watched from the shadows, his smile cold and triumphant, his dark energy driving the chaos. Ira glared at him, anger tightening his chest, but he couldn't stop. With a roar, he summoned Marduk's light, fighting off wave after wave. Though his body healed, the pain and exhaustion grew. Surrounded on all sides, Ira continued, determined to defy Bree's malice and the overwhelming darkness threatening to consume him. The air had been heavy with decay, and distant, rasping breaths filled the night. Ira stood amidst a storm of possessed beings, their hollow eyes and twisted forms surrounding him on all sides. The golden light of Marduk pulsed weakly within him, dimming under the relentless tide of bodies pressing down. The street, once eerily quiet, had become a battleground. Shadows danced along crumbling buildings as the possessed darted with unnatural speed. Despite Ira's fierce resistance, the waves of attackers seemed endless. He struck them down with fists burning with Marduk's light, yet for every one that fell, more rose, their hunger gleaming in their eyes. I can't stop, Ira had thought. Vanessa was still out there, trapped by Bree and Cyrus the Great's vengeful spirit. The possessed tore at him, their teeth and claws raking his flesh. Blood poured from countless wounds, but Ira summoned the light again, driving back his foes with pulses of golden energy. Then, in a crushing wave, they overwhelmed him. Dozens slammed into Ira, pinning him to the ground beneath a suffocating weight. Pain coursed through him, and darkness closed in. But a spark stirred within, a divine force. With a roar, Ira unleashed the full power of Marduk's light, banishing the shadows. A brilliant explosion of golden energy had erupted from Ira, sending a shockwave through the air. The possessed bodies, which had suffocated him moments earlier, were hurled in all directions, their twisted forms flung like lifeless ragdolls. The golden light consumed everything in its path, burning away the corruption and purifying the darkness that had infested their souls. Screams of the possessed had filled the air as Marduk's divine energy disintegrated their forms into ash. In moments, the street was empty. Ira, trembling and bloodied, rose to his feet. Though the light had dimmed to a steady glow, it continued healing his wounds, mending his torn flesh. Around him, the remnants of the battle, a scattering of ash and the acrid scent of decay, spoke of a nightmare now past. Despite his exhaustion, Ira felt stronger than ever, the light of Marduk coursing through him with renewed vigor. But his ordeal was not over. The apartment building before him pulsed with dark energy, and he knew Bree was waiting within, along with Vanessa, still held captive. Steeling himself, Ira advanced toward the looming shadow. Bree emerged from the darkness, mocking and unyielding. "You're still alive," Bree had said, his tone dripping with malice. "Impressive. But you've only delayed the inevitable." Ira had demanded furiously, "Where is she? Where's Vanessa?" Bree's mocking smile faltered briefly before he replied, his tone dripping with malice, yes. Vanessa, or should I say, Cyrus. Your precious Vanessa is no longer here. Her soul belongs to Cyrus now." The revelation enraged Ira. The thought of the vengeful spirit, Cyrus, twisting Vanessa into a vessel for his dark ambitions fueled his determination. "You think I'll let you use her like this?" Ira growled, his voice seething with defiance. Bree, unfazed, chuckled. "Let me," he mocked. "This is my domain. You're nothing but a pawn." He then gestured to the decaying apartment building behind him and coldly invited Ira inside, promising the battle wasn't over. Darkness enveloped Bree as he vanished, leaving Ira standing alone amidst the eerie silence. The malevolent pull of the building loomed heavy, its shadows coiling like serpents. Ira, resolute, knew this was no mere fight, it was a trial of his strength and resolve. With Marduk's light flickering faintly around him, Ira advanced toward the crumbling facade, knowing Vanessa's fate and Cyrus's power awaited inside. Despite his weariness, Ira would not break. Not now. Not ever.